How random was that? A three-legged, one-eared coyote on a dock in the Harrison Marina. That's how we keep geese and seagulls from crapping on our docks here in North Idaho. And the fewer legs and ears the coyote has, the better. All right, let's talk Harrison, Idaho. However, in this video, we're going to talk about some reasons why you may not want to move to Harrison, Idaho. First, we're going to take a drive from Coeur d'Alene to Harrison on the shortest route possible, which is Highway 97, as it snakes along Lake Coeur d'Alene. However, I must warn you, this is not your typical drive. We are going to speed the camera up to 8x. Not because I'm a frustrated race car driver trapped inside Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's body. No, we want you to see a 1-hour drive in 7 minutes. If you find yourself getting carsick, you can skip ahead in the video to the point where we will be joined by a special guest, my wife, Bonnie Martinelli. We will tap into her 10 years of experience of selling real estate here in North Idaho at the highest level. We will get Bonnie's take on 3 reasons why you may want to think twice before moving to Harrison, Idaho. Boogity, 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 let's go racing. Strap those race belts tight, and we'll see you in 7 minutes at Harrison Beach. Hey everybody, it's Kory and Bonnie coming to you from Harrison Beach in downtown, Harrison. So we're lucky enough to be joined today by what I call the tip of the spear, Mrs. Bonnie Martinelli. Bonnie has been pretty busy for 4 straight years since 2020. Bonnie has been, she won't tell you this, but I will. She's been in the top 1% of all real estate agents in the country for 4 years running now. So she's been real busy, and that's why you haven't seen her pretty little face on the camera, and you just had to put up with me. But anyway, we've got her here so she can share some insights with y'all. We came down here together to go to lunch. We like to come down here to
One Shot Charlie's,
and they've just opened up for the season. They didn't have the tacos though.
No, they didn't have the tacos, but I had banh mi, and it was really, really good.
It was a sandwich with
like chicken and
fried chicken
really
on it,
good.
and I had a smash burger. So we still had a good lunch, and maybe we'll put some of that video on here at the end. But we want to just sit down, talk to you guys about a couple things related to Harrison, Idaho. We have noticed that most people that are looking online, looking at properties, tend to let their budget do their steering, and as they're steering their budget through the internet, they land on a place like Harrison. Well, why, honey?
Prices.
I
think it's affordable. People are wondering, why is it so cheap there? And well, now we're going to explain it to you. There's reasons why it's more affordable down here.
Yeah, there's reasons why it's more affordable, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But we're going to give you 3 reasons to think twice about moving to Harrison. We've sold many homes in this area, many properties on the lake, properties in rural homes. There are clients that this works for. In our opinion, though, this doesn't work for everybody. And we're going to share 3 reasons why we think that is. And we just want you to think twice before you gravitate and even fixate on properties that you see online here in Harrison. So Bonnie, the first one, let's talk about how remote it is. Can you go into that a little bit?
Well, it's always farther than I think it is. Every time I drive down here, I think at every turn I'm gonna run into Harrison, but no, it's about, what, a 45
No, it's an hour drive.
Hour, well, see, again.
Yeah, so
I think he gets closer, but it is about an hour drive from Coeur d'Alene to
Right.
get to the city of Harrison. But Harrison is a wide area along the lake. So it encompasses a very large area of acreage.
And I'll put a
in this
map
area.
up on
Yeah.
you can probably see a map now on just how big of an area that is. You can literally be 20 minutes from Coeur d'Alene and Harrison, and at the same time, the further south you go, you can be an hour and 20 minutes away from Coeur d'Alene.
Right.
So when you're seeing addresses that have a Harrison address, just understand that it could be anywhere in that wide geographical area that they call Harrison. What are some challenges, do you think, to that drive?
Well, it's a windy road. If you're taking, that 97 all the way down, it can be a little icy in the wintertime too. It is cleared. It is cleared well in the wintertime. But again, you have curves a lot of times. In the wintertime, it can get icy there. People that want to pass on a double yellow line, which is quite dangerous. So these are just things we want to point out to you guys about living down here and the drive that you're going to have to get into town of Coeur d'Alene proper, so that you're going to do your shopping. And there's a gas station just as you come into
in Eddyville. You'll see it on the film. Bonnie's pointing out that the only gas station between Harrison and Coeur d'Alene is in the town of Eddyville, which is still 20 minutes outside of Coeur d'Alene, and it's about 40 minutes from here. There's gas here in Harrison, and it's right behind us on the marina dock. The only gas in this town is for boats. When we tell you that it's remote, it's remote. And how about self-service?
Right. So invariably, I'm in some contract situation, or I need cell reception, and we're driving down here, and I'm trying to get cell reception to respond to my assistant or respond to somebody, and I don't have that. So many times that's what I'm dealing with no cell reception in pockets, or it's very, very faint.
Yeah,
barely get anything. So if you're on the phone, you're cut off. But yeah,
we grit our teeth anytime we come down here, knowing that if we have phone calls that we need to follow up on, or we're in the middle of a contract, we know that we're pretty much going to be in dead phone time the majority of the time for a good 2 to 3 hours. So that's another thing to think about when we talk about how remote it is. Not just the drive, but the fact that you could be out of cell phone service during that drive.
Right.
Another thing to think about as far as how remote it is if you're going to be a young family and you're going to actually work. If you're going to do blue collar work where you're going to be actually doing work on the ground, there's not a lot of work here in Harrison. It's a vacation summer town. It's got a couple cafes, but there's not a lot of work here, especially if you're going to work full time. And if you're going to support a family, it's not going to work out unless you can work remotely. If you're going to actually be one that is going to have to work and it's not remote work, your nearest place to drive for work is going to be Coeur d'Alene and Spokane. And Coeur d'Alene's an hour away. Mm-hmm. Spokane is an hour and a half away. So let's say that you're a contractor who services commercial HVAC. You're not going to live in Harrison because you're going to be going an hour minimum every day that you go to work. So mostly what we see moving to the Harrison area are young professionals that have online businesses where they can actually work remotely and they don't have families. Or you have retirees who don't need to come into town a lot and they're fine being remote. They want to be remote. They're kind of like me. They hate people and they're not afraid to move away from people to make that happen. But talk a little bit about the dynamics of if you had a young family here, hon.
Yes. So if you have children who are involved in, say, sports or drama or music lessons, you could be driving an hour each way to get to there. And typically from when I was a soccer mom or taking my daughter to music lessons, we live a little bit out of town, but we do not live in Harrison. But typically what I would do is I take them in, I do some shopping or wait, or some of the moms that live farther south, even in Coeur d'Alene area, they would come to town and just wait in their cars while their child is
read a book, get on the phone.
Exactly.
Go do some shopping.
Do some work, do some shopping.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be something you just have to accept. You're going to be driving quite a bit.
You're going to be driving quite a bit. I mean, the minimum you would be driving, the furthest north in Harrison you're going to be is probably Eddyville. And that's literally a half hour from all the ball fields and all the places where kids would be doing soccer and baseball and stuff. And you could be as far away as an hour and 20 minutes if you're further south from here in Harrison. Okay, so that's the topic of how remote it is. The second thing that we want you to think about when you're considering living in the Harrison area is healthcare. We have a lot of people that are retired that, again, see how affordable the properties are around Harrison. And our job is to educate our clients, even before we go open doors and show them property, is to make sure that our people understand the context of their lifestyle and whether or not the area that they're going to live in actually fits in their lifestyle. First thing that we bring up is it too far away from the things that you like? And then the second thing that we bring up is healthcare.
Right.
Healthcare here for Harrison, the nearest healthcare is going to be in St. Mary's. And St. Mary's is about 25-30 minutes south of Harrison here, and they have a hospital there. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that hospital, Bonnie, Benoit County.
Yeah, so if you're something that's major, you're going to be helicoptered over to Kootenai in Coeur d'Alene. So if it's something that's a dire need, this is not good. That's not good.
I'm reading here from the website from Benoit County Hospital. Why does Benoit County Hospital transfer patients? We transfer patients from RER when we do not have the resources to care for them properly. They may need advanced testing that we do not have available. Conditions such as heart attack requires treatment by a heart specialist. Some complex injuries require treatment by a surgical specialist. Our ER staff do critical work while they wait for a helicopter or ambulance to transfer critical patients to a bigger hospital. And that's the reality of living in a rural area, and we think that you need to understand that before you start getting excited about properties in this area. If you're older and you're going to need specialty care, let's say that you need physical therapy 3 times a week, or you need a special foot doctor, you're going to be going to Coeur d'Alene for those things, because not even St. Mary's has specialty doctors. They just simply have Benoit County, which is a stitch and splint hospital, as I call it. Any trauma care, you're going to be airlifted to Kootenai Health in Coeur d'Alene or Spokane even.
Right.
Okay. So those are the first 2 reasons we would have you think twice about moving to Harrison. The last one, let's talk about reservation land, hun. For those of you who don't know, Harrison is literally 1 mile long from north to south. And it was carved out of the Coeur d'Alene Reservation in the turn of the century. They actually, in fact, President Harrison, the town that it's named after, he actually broke it off of the Indian reservation because it was a seaport for all the lumber and mining stuff that was coming out of the mountains. And the United States wanted to use that for merchants. So they separated it from the Coeur d'Alene tribe, and ever since then, the city of Harrison has actually been incorporated and then surrounded by the Coeur d'Alene tribal lands. When you want to buy properties outside of Harrison City property, there's a good chance, probably a 50% chance, especially on the east and southern parts, that you're going to be on reservation land. So Bonnie, maybe you can talk to some of the technicalities to be aware of when you buy on reservation land.
Yeah, so when you buy on the res, we call it the res, there can be issues with lending. So there's very few lenders that will lend on property in the res. So that's one thing to be mindful of, especially for resale. I mean, I let my clients know that if they are buying on the res, there are some things they need to know. Also, I would put my clients in contact with the tribal leaders, and if they had any questions, they can ask those questions. But it's really, you still own it. You're with a deed, fee simple deed.
You pay county taxes.
You pay county taxes just like normal if you're in Kootenai County. So there's not a ton of difference, but there's some small little things that you should know about as far as the lending and as far as owning the land. You still own the land. But
And I'll give one example. I mean, when you own property on the res, you have two governmental agencies that you're reporting to. So you're within Kootenai County, you're paying your taxes to Kootenai County, you own property just like any other county property owner. However, because you're on Indian reservation land and it's their land, they're another governmental regulatory agency that has a say within what happens in the property that you have a stake in. And in 2022, the reservation came to the county and said, hey, we don't like the way that growth is affecting our tribal lands. We see people buy 20-acre parcels and they're subdividing them into 5-acre parcels, and we don't want to see that type of growth. So they actually went to the county and said, we'd like to rezone our 20-acre parcels or more that were zoned agricultural. No, they were zoned rural at the time.
Right.
They wanted to zone them to agricultural,
right,
which would then mean you can't subdivide them below 20 acres, because in the county you can subdivide all the way down to 5-acre parcels if it's zoned rural. If it's zoned agricultural, you can't subdivide down to 5s. So understanding that, the tribe went to the county and said, hey, we want to rezone over 200 parcels, even though there's people living on them that got houses, and when we rezone that, we're going to make it so that they cannot subdivide those properties. So imagine if you're someone that's living on 20 acres and you bought this property knowing that it was your legacy property and you're going to subdivide it for your kids, and then the tribe says all of a sudden, we're not going to allow that. Well, the county kind of split the baby and said to the tribe, yeah, we're going to agree with you, it's your land, you can set the rules that we're going to rezone it from rural to agricultural, but for those that have property already, we're going to let them opt out, and they have until June of 2024 to do so. But if you don't opt out and you're on 20 acres or more right now as rural, and they rezone it to agricultural, you're out. If you don't opt out, you no longer can subdivide those properties.
Well, that's what we understand as of right now.
Yeah.
But it could change. That could also change.
And and I think that's the point that you're making, is that there is a lot of uncertainty, or some uncertainty, especially when you have more than just one governmental agency involved. And that's what the lenders kind of balk at.
And I know a question in your mind is probably, well, why don't lenders want to lend on that property? And that's it's because they have another person to answer to. It's the tribal rules. So that's why many lenders do not lend down in the res land.
So yeah, it's not that the reservation is not a popular place to live. It's a great place to live, and we've sold many properties here. The people that live on the res love it. And honestly, you don't even know that you're living on res land unless something like what we just talked about comes up, and that's always a potential, and that's our job, is to let you guys know that you might want to think twice because something could happen. And it doesn't mean that it might not be the choice for you, but those are some things that we want to let you know. So in review, we've just given you 3 things to think about, to think twice about moving to Harrison. And the first one was the drive and how remote it is. Second one, healthcare. Remember that you're not in an area where there's trauma care, and you're most likely going to be airlifted or ambulanced quite a ways away. And then the third one, you might want to think twice if you're not comfortable living on res land. So those are the 3 things that we wanted to just pitch to you guys real quick about Harrison. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks for joining us, hon.
Oh,
really,
yeah. You're
really
welcome.
cool to have you. All right, bye now. All right. Excuse us, we're gonna get to eating.